is like an investment, and great leaders are not prepared in a day. Like the great Abraham Lincoln said, if you give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, I'll use the first 4 hours sharpening my saw. The season of preparation is a very important stage for becoming a great leader or anything at all. Remember, this is Conversation, the best show in the world, where we bet out today's possibilities through meaningful discussions. And when we return, I'll share with you who my guests are, and then we get to delve straight into conversations. This is Conversations. You're welcome back. Today with me, I have Mr. Samuel Nkansah. He is the administrative lead of the Good Shepherd Love Foundation. He has also worked with the Ghana Education Service as the longest serving regional administrator for the Greater Accra Regional Student Representative Council from 2014 to 2018. He is also a British Council certified counselor and works with the AR Group Company Limited as the administrator in charge of student recruitment and tours. Again, Mr. Samuel Nkansah is passionate about community service and nationalism. He's also a singer or a songwriter with 2 singles to his credit titled Not a Man and Blessed Assurance. I'm very excited to have you here with me, Mr. Samuel.
Thank you, Golda.
You're a big man.
Thank you for having me on the show.
That's great. Also with me, I have Miss Mawina Amevo, a former Leadership Diary Training Program participant and also a mentee of the altar. Thank you for being here with me, Miss Mawina Amevo. Sorry.
Thank you, Golda. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And then also we have Mr. Ruben Anani, who has been with us right from the start of Conversations. It's great to have you here today.
Thanks very much, Golda.
You guys are shining.
Yeah, we are shining, but I'm still taller than you today. There should be a change.
One of these days I'll add another platform to my hill.
Keep dreaming, girl.
And so let's delve into Conversations. I want to find out Chapter 5, Preparation to Become a Great Leader. Let me start with you, Mr. Samuel. What comes to mind when you hear the word prepared?
Okay. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for having me once again, and to the author of the book, of course, Chief Bafoyiwa, for the opportunity to be here. What comes to mind when I hear prepared is to be ready.
To be ready?
Yes, in simple words, to be ready. Not just being ready, but ready emotionally, ready psychologically, ready physically, ready spiritually to handle any task ahead of you or any goal, either as a person or as a leader.
Either as a person or as a leader. Now it said that ladies first, but I started with a gentleman.
Right.
Before I come back to Mr. Mevo, let me go to Mr. Ruben. What comes to mind when you hear the word prepared?
Preparation to me means getting ready to get something done. Getting ready comes with having in mind what you want to do and the things or the ingredients that you would need to get that thing ready. So in putting in the work, that is you getting ready. Yeah, and that is preparation for me.
Preparation. It looks like the key word is being ready.
Yeah.
Interesting. What about you, Miss Samevo?
Okay, so taking a cue from what Sir Ruben said, I believe what comes to mind when you talk about preparation or being prepared is cooking and also priming up or gearing up. And these come to mind because in cooking, you sort of prepare your ingredients before you actually start cooking. And people also refer to cooking as preparing something. And also when you are dressing up or gearing up, you prepare in your mind what you want to wear before you actually wear it. So yeah, those things come to mind.
That's interesting. No, it means that in every season of our life, we are preparing for something. Even at exams, you have to prepare for the examination.
Right.
Amazing.
Yeah,
but then back to you, Mr. Samuel Nkansah. Why are preparations key in our society, and more importantly, our leadership journey? Why
Right.
is preparation very key?
Okay, there is a popular quote that I usually give anywhere I get opportunity to speak, that lack of preparation prevents poor performance. So as an individual and as a leader, if you aspire to do great things in life, you know, you need all the ingredients, like Sir Ruben said. And I would relate that to the book. I don't know if we're there yet, but I could relate that with the book. Having a mentor, being aware of the preparatory stages. Having a vision, having a goal is not enough, but planning towards the vision, planning towards the goal is the ultimate. And making sure that you are, every day, you are on the, the verge of taking the notable steps to achieving that.
Okay,
Yes.
but still on you.
Right.
You know, in the book, on page 55, which is the chapter 5 we are discussing,
Sure.
in the second paragraph, the author mentions that great leaders are prepared not in a day, but over a lifetime. I think this is one of the most profound statements within this particular chapter for me.
Right.
But I want to find out how do you understand this particular statement?
Okay, let's say practically speaking, being here is a preparatory stage for me. And I'm saying that because of whatever vision I have in mind. There is no way you can stop preparing yourself, because you get to a particular stage and you aspire for greater height, and you still need to develop yourself for that particular height. And there is this notion that you can never stop learning. It's as equal to you can never stop developing yourself. If you stop developing yourself, it's as though you want to die. It means you have come to the point that you think you've done enough, you've achieved your goals, you've achieved your aims and your aspirations and your visions, and you want to lay back. So there is no point where you say, I'm done preparing. It's a lifetime thing. It goes on and on. Every day we learn. Every day we add something to our philosophy, to our ideologies. So, like the book rightly said, it's a lifetime thing. As long as you are in this earth, you need to develop yourself for whatever opportunity that may come your way.
So every day we are getting ready.
Every day. Every day. Like I said, you get to a point and you think you are there. So let me bring in this quote by one popular leader. He said, anywhere you get to, if you don't know where you're going to, he said, anywhere you get to will seem like it. Now, when I get, maybe I want to move from point A to point B, or let's say my ultimate goal is to get to point D, but I have moved from point A to point B. It's a great achievement as far as my goals and aspirations are concerned. But do I remain there? I want to get to point D. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So I need to still develop myself towards that particular goal. And even when you get there, you don't have to stop learning. It's one thing to get there, and it's one thing to still remain there. As far as leadership is concerned, it's one thing to get to a particular level, and it's one thing to remain there. What you do to remain there is still a learning process. For me, it's a learning process, and you need to learn to be able to remain at that point or at that level. I don't know if I'm making sense.
Yeah, you are. Let me come to Mr. Ruben. So he has spoken about how he understands the statement, great leaders are not prepared in a day, but over a lifetime. I want to hear from you as well. What was running through your mind, and how did you understand this particular statement?
Well, my understanding of that is that no one is born a leader. It takes preparation to become a leader. You have to go through the crucible of development. You would have to read. You would have to connect with people. You'd have to even get to acquaint yourself with the innovations of newer generations, understand their thinking patterns, understand the new things that are going on. That is the only way you can lead, because you can be a leader and be out of the system.
Right.
You have to keep connecting.
Right.
So a great leader, it's important that you are abreast. You have to read. You don't have to stop. Let me take you to this part of the book, page 13 of the book, I think the 4th paragraph. It says something here. You're going to Yeah. Yeah, the fourth paragraph says something, page 13.
Such a leader would have studied the road and become aware of where they or their people need to be heading.
Okay.
Still chapter 5?
Yeah, he cannot wallow in ignorance. That applied knowledge is true power. They understand that to be outstanding, one has to be able to direct oneself first before others. So if you're going to lead a group of people and you allow yourself to be buried in ignorance, you can be a leader. You can't even be a follower.
Right.
Because even followers need information to evolve. I remember I was reading about this Mongolian conqueror. He ended up being the greatest conqueror of the world. His name is Genghis Khan. He's from the Borjigin clan in the Mongolian steppe. They were sheep herders. They had these ponies that they loved so much. And he realized that his tribe was being bullied and he wanted to grow. So after his dad was killed and all that, Genghis Khan started building his tribe, and then he was caught and then a slave. When he got out of slavery, the first thing he did was build followers. And in building them, he began to put people in every tribe. He made them comfortable. That way they could get information from every tribe for him. So Genghis Khan was very, very updated. He knew everything. Before you say something, he is aware. So he started befriending them. When he befriends you, he annihilates you. Could you believe that this lowly man that wore frayed shirts and tattered clothes was able to take down Russia? He took down the Crimea. He came down to Egypt, took down everybody, becoming the greatest conqueror of the world, to a point that he changed the carbon footprint of the earth. A lot of men, even in Africa, today are having his genes in him. That is the power of information, because he wants to be ahead of everybody in his time. And trust you me, the Mongolians were. They built Beijing in China.
Right.
So a leader cannot just sit and be ignorant. You have to be abreast. Any culture that comes around, learn about it. So I keep saying again, the book is one passport that gives you the chance to go to a place that you've not paid for. So a leader must read, a leader must be abreast.
A leader must read and a leader must be abreast. That's your preparation period do and the lives of an emerging leader according to the author.
Okay, the preparation period for an emerging leader is a period where character is built in obscurity. That's what the author said. And what comes to mind, or what came to mind when I read that, was the life cycle of a butterfly. And it triggered me to actually look into it briefly. But what I learned was the butterfly has 4 stages before it becomes a mature butterfly. The first stage is the egg phase. So it's an egg. There's nothing there, right? The next stage is the larva. Then the next stage is the pupa, and then the next stage is when it becomes a full-blown butterfly. Yes, and in the egg stage, you don't really see anything going on with the egg. And I think the author made reference to people thinking that you are wasting time when you are preparing for leadership, serving, going about helping mentees or doing things for people. The assumption from people is that you are wasting time, and you would see the egg and you think that this is a waste, or some people can easily step on the egg and think it's a waste, but it's actually a full-blown butterfly in the end. And then the next stage I would like to talk about is the pupa. At that stage, the butterfly is actually a caterpillar, and it just hangs on a tree somewhere, or sometimes it's even hidden in the ground because it's so delicate at that stage and it could easily get broken or destroyed. So when the author says you are hidden in obscurity, it means that you are being prepared in isolation. That's what comes to mind. But in other words, you are being prepared to face whatever vision, plan, assignment you are preparing for or gearing up for. So eventually you become this beautiful butterfly that everyone enjoys or loves to see and all that. And then the next thing that comes to mind is mentorship. You're also being in preparation. You're also being mentored. Like you go through a mentorship phase, and it builds you up. It builds your character. It builds so many things about you. It builds your perspective about life. It builds your experiences in life. Those are some of the things that I saw that the author was raising in the book.
You know, I just want to share my thoughts on that particular statement. On the statements, the preparation period, what does it do in the life of an emerging leader? When I read that particular chapter, what comes to mind is a pre-launch. And all I see in pre-launch is a rocket. We're about to launch the rocket.
Yes.
So when I'm reading the book, all I'm seeing is I'm a rocket about to be launched.
Yeah.
But either ways, I've enjoyed the conversation so far.
If I may just add to what
Sure.
Enam said, I would want to, I know we are not treating chapter 4, but I wrote something down while I was reading that, because I mentioned that at a certain point in your life as a leader or even as an individual, you get to a level that you need to maintain, or you should be able to still be at that level. You understand?
Yeah.
And character plays a significant role as far as I'm concerned. Let me say that this whole book is like a mirror, or let's say it tells my life story, because I have practically been through the stages as per the preparatory period for every great leader. I've been through the stage. I've been through the uncertainty phase. I've been through the knowledge phase. I've been through the certainty phase. I've been through the dying season. I've been there. I've been through the victory phase. I've been through the leaving a mark. But in all these things, it is the character that defines you. Because usually what people pinpoint, aside many other things, I mean, a lot of leaders are doing great things all over the world, but their character takes a lot of things out of the
praise they are due.
Exactly. Yes, I just wanted to add that. Yes.
It's good.
Okay, so we are going for a quick break. When we return, we are going to delve straight into the phases of leadership as written and said by the author.
Never in the history of the world has there been a stringent demand, call and cry for leaders as there is now. Leaders who understand where they are going. Leaders who have been where we want to be and can handhold us to get to that point. Leaders with a vision who can steer the affairs of our lives. But how do we find such leaders? Who knows where we want to be and can help you get there? Even so, how do I become that great leader? If you have a desire, a mission to be the leader that changes the trajectory of this world, the book for you is Becoming a Great Leader, a compelling read by Moses Bafo-Ewa that takes you on a journey that walks you through how you can effectively lead yourself and those who rely on you for leadership. Now more than ever, the world is crying out for leaders who will be the change makers. Will you be one? Find out how in Becoming a Great Leader. Grab a copy now.
So let's delve right back into our conversations. Let's take the phases of leadership as written by the author, and let's look at it. Let's look at the phases of leadership as written by the author and discuss with me what you find intriguing about those phases of leadership. So I'll start with Ms. Enam.
Okay. I think the author talks about uncertainty as the first phase.
Yes.
And he brings issues about the phase where people have questions, a lot of questions. And ideally, I'm a Gen Z. So as a Gen Z, I have a lot of questions, and I like the fact that the author talks about the uncertainty phase being a phase where you ask a lot of questions, because it gives me assurance that I'm not doing something wrong, or there's an assurance I get that asking so many questions, or asking myself so many questions, or pondering over a lot of things that bother me it's not a bad thing.
Not a bad thing.
Yes. So
we are all at the same place.
Yes.
We definitely live there.
Exactly. So the uncertainty phase is a phase for questions, and I think it's also a phase where you are allowed to make mistakes. I may be wrong, but I believe it's a phase where you're allowed to make mistakes, because you are actually trying to find your feet in whatever you are passionate about, or whatever you are intrigued about or bothered about in society, whatever problem you find questionable. So the uncertainty phase for me, and then the next phase, I may jump, but
it's fine.
Yes, the next phase is the knowledge phase, but I want to talk about the certainty phase. And what I discovered from the certainty phase is that the author mentioned that you can't skip the phases, and the knowledge phase is crucial for the certainty phase, because at the certainty phase I realized that you build a certain confidence in what you are passionate about. You build a certain conviction, and he also mentioned something that made me realize that you become more aware of or conscious of what you actually want to solve, or the problem you want to solve in society. So the certainty phase for me cannot happen without the knowledge phase, and I like how he broke down the phases. It makes me understand where I need to go next. If I'm questioning something, the next thing is to find answers, and those answers give me the confidence or the conviction I need to move on from there. So I think I'll leave the rest of the phases to you.
Okay, so I think also at the knowledge phase, it's at that point where you've identified what you want to do. You've had a conversation with your own self and said, this is what I want to do with my life now. In the sphere of leadership, this is what I want to do. And now, what do you do? We say knowledge is power, so you need to and power is what? Information. Yeah. So this is the point where you begin to go down the road of gathering information to support what you want to do. Education is a place where you get information. Books are places where you get information. Personal experiences, other people's experiences. Those are places where you get information, to build yourself for the journey. Unfortunately, this is the phase where a lot of young people lose their gas, and then we see a lot of young people with broken dreams and tragedy. It is because at this stage you must be able to envision your success, work towards it and sustain that success. If you're not able to sustain it at that level, you're going to lose it. So having knowledge alone is not enough. As we spoke earlier, you have to keep searching. That is knowledge, and that is the role of a leader. You have to keep searching. And also, when we look at page 46 of the book, there is something interesting there. Page 46 of Becoming a Great Leader. There is something here that concerns this. Now we are coming down to self-leadership. This is the first form of leadership that a person encounters right after birth. Right after birth, you are expected to start building your self-leadership. That is why you cry to get mommy to give you food. You make efforts to crawl, and finally you stand to walk. This responsibility to lead yourself increase as you age. Soon you no longer require support in certain aspects. Rather, you are left to figure out things for yourself and to make decisions for your career, marriage, and life. So that is the knowledge aspect. First, someone begins to feed you, but at a point, you have to know that you have to stand up for your own self and prepare yourself and ready your boat to sail on your own journeys.
Let's be back to a conversation we were having just before the show began. I remember asking Enam what the book talks about preparation, and then the writer decides to put preparation in the fifth chapter.
Yeah.
I mean, why don't you start with preparation? Because we are preparing something. But then, with the conversation we've had so far, I've come to understand that even from self-leadership till chapter 5 of the book, from chapter 1, where we are talking about the hands for leaders, what is leaders, all this is just preparing our minds as to how we can prepare to be great leaders, how to understand the concept of leadership. Ms. Enam and by Mr. Ruben, share with me your thoughts and some of the questions that are on your mind in the comment section below, or you can email it to the email that is being displayed on the screen below. Now, Enam, let's read the excerpt in the book by the author on page 59 under the dying season. He talks about Nelson Mandela during his trial. He said, "I have fought against white domination and I have fought against black domination. I've cherished the idea of a democratic and free society in which all persons live together in harmony with equal opportunities. It is an ideal that I hope to live for and to achieve. But if it needs to be, it is an ideal for which I am prepared to die." Mr. Samuel in Cancer, share with me what intrigues you about this statement.
Right, so from what you just read, it's obvious that he didn't just say he wanted freedom for just the blacks. He wanted an environment or a society where both the blacks and the whites could live in harmony. And he was prepared to die for that particular cause. That means that he was certain about what he wanted to achieve. That means that he was certain about what he wanted to achieve. He was very certain. And to me, like I was saying earlier, it is a stage where it is the foundation of the beginning of the life of every individual. And once you cross that stage, from the uncertainty to the knowledge stage and then to the certain stage, you definitely would want to die for a cause. So,
and please share with me what you think about this statement.
So personally, we all personally admire Nelson Mandela, and I believe a lot of people admire him as well. But he didn't, like someone said, he didn't come to the place of being prepared to die out of nowhere. He came from a journey, and I sometimes when I read about his life, his early life, I believe it's one way or the other had influence in the passion for which he wanted to die. He was someone who was seen as very anti-injustice, if I should put it that way. He couldn't stand injustice. This is a question or a problem he saw in society that brought about the question of how he can solve the apartheid situation in South Africa. And this question birthed things that he got to know about, and eventually he was certain, like I agree with that, he was certain that he wanted to die for this purpose if it gets to that. So he's not a great leader just because he was the Prime Minister of South Africa at a point in time, but the person he became as a result of the passions
his conviction,
the person he became made him a great leader in himself. So that's why I think about this statement.
And what about you, Mr. Ruben?
I think the speech is a very human speech. It's a very human speech for me, because Nelson Mandela has been someone who suffered in the claws of the apartheid system, and we all know what that entails. And a person like that came out of jail under very brutal conditions, and then he's asking for pluralism. That is what the speech is all about. He's willing to die for the idea of pluralism, where there's inclusivity, where black and white work hand in hand, to grow South Africa. So that is an ideal. He's very certain You see, he said he is willing to die for it, did not yet die for it. So it's a plea that if these works together, if all these ends tie together, I am very certain that I'll go to any length to die for this idea, just so that South Africa can be an inclusive country. That's how I understand it.
I know when I go on to read the other phase, it says that anyone willing to die for a higher cause has a higher chance of succeeding. And victory comes from denying the self and doing everything it takes to see success. And that's where we see success in Nelson Mandela's fight against black domination. What's been your personal resolutions after reading this particular chapter? Let me still stay with Mr. Rubin.
This chapter tells me that in all my endeavors, in my personal dealings, even in self-leadership, in my goals in my career, preparation is key. And if I escape the stage of preparation, I am going to build my castle on a sand, and it's never going to stand. So I'm going to make preparation the foundation of everything that I do. That way, I can grow in the right process and flourish. This book has been helpful to me.
Thank you, Mr. Samuel.
All right, so I was saying that to me it's an important thing in the life of everybody.
Value.
Yes, and you need to be able, once you study the book, you need to be able to embrace the level at which you are and know that it is not a new thing. Most great leaders, if you want to be one, has gone through the process. And so it informs you that at every point in your life, you know that, okay, per what I've studied or what I've read and what I'm experiencing, I'm at this level, and I just need to go through it as part of the process.
And finally, Miss Enam.
Okay, so there's a quote by Robert Schuller, and it says, "Spectacular achievements are preceded by unspectacular preparations." And it's a quote that got me thinking a lot in terms of what the author has said in general about preparation. And I would want to cite an example, a personal example. So this book, so let me tell you how this book made me feel, first of all, when I was reading it. I couldn't sit, so I read it mostly in Etrusky, Trotro, and I couldn't sit. Why I say I couldn't sit is because it was gingering me for something. Naturally, I'm very laid back. I'm just laid back in every sense of the word, laid back. But the book got me thinking about what I could be, what I could do, and all that. Eventually, I decided to serve in LDTP. And talking about what your resolutions are, so I decided to serve. And okay, the service period was a whole journey on its own for me, because I was going through a whole lot at the time. And finally, after everything, I picked up two things for myself, which became like resolutions I can say now, is that I should mind my thoughts and I should mind my health, because being a great leader is all good. You have the ideas, you have the passion, you have the zest, you have the knowledge to even execute what you have. But if your body is not up to the task, you would end up falling along the way. And I realized that I was draining myself in the process. I would love to be prepared. I would love to go through the stages of preparation and all that, but my mind needs to be there, my body needs to be there. So those were the two resolutions, I picked up. And it also ties in with the first statement I made, or the quote I made, saying that the preparations period is not spectacular at all. You feel the brunt of what you are going through. You feel the drain. There's a lady called Hilda Bassi who recently won the marathon, the cooking marathon, yes. And listening to the story that she, led up to her doing those number of hours, I learned she had to go through physical training. I learned she had to even mental training, like she had to prepare herself even for preparation. So if you want to be prepared, if you want to enjoy the preparation journey, I think these are some of the things to keep in mind. Let your body, your health, be conscious of your health and your body, be conscious of your mind, because what you are thinking through that journey will determine to an extent what the journey will end up like. Yeah, so those are the two things I think.
Our health is very important.
Yes,
That's true. Before I take the final words of my guest, you take me back to the first question. What comes to your mind when you hear the word prepared? And we all say that one of the key things I picked up from everybody's statements is being prepared, getting ready, but I want to know, why is it that as important as preparation is, we trivialize the importance of preparation? We celebrate the successes of leadership, but we are not very keen about preparation. And what are some of the consequences of trivializing preparation? Maybe I start with Mr. Rubin.
Okay, so I think it's a thing that comes with this era that we are in. It comes at a time where we are all lusting after smart inventions, and that has taught us to get things quite easily at our hands. Before now, there is nothing you could do. I remember those days that we were kids, you would come for vacation and you have to take buckets and go and get water, and that teaches you to be responsible, because if you don't do it now, no one is going to do it for you. Yeah, so we have come to a time where the idea is knowing people. So instead of going through processes, that helps you to prepare. Let me say driving, for instance. I was observing last time, and I was writing down that driving seemed to be the most disrespectful job in this country. Why? They insult each other at will. People insult them at will. They don't have any respect for diplomacy or rapport. They just speak what they want to say to you because they know that they are moving people. What happens? There are driving schools now where people are taught customer relations and all that. In Ghana, we don't really take it serious. No one goes through the processes. We just even the license, a lot of us don't even go through the right process. We just pay for them. We stay home and then we get a license. The security forces, we all know what happens. It's not a secret. You get paid and they call it protocol, and they get you in there. And that is why we have policemen that are doing fantastic job on the road. And then we have other policemen who are vandalizing people, and we just stereotype all of them. No, I think it's an era thing. Our era wants so much shortcut. And that way, they downplay the importance of preparation. We just aim at the sport and ignoring the work you have to put in to get to the sport. And that is why things are going back instead of growing forward. I think that's my, yeah.
Mr. Samuel or Ms. Enam, what do we say?
Funny enough, I was just thinking about driving.
Oh,
wow.
You can still add. I know you have a lot to say.
The difference between driving a manual car
and then the automatic vehicle.
I mean, gone were the days where you had to go to a driving school to learn how to drive, and you'll be taught using a manual car.
Yeah.
But now, automatic, you can even learn on YouTube.
Yeah.
And then, start driving.
The one-week driver.
Though it has, the one-week driver, though it has some benefits, or let's say some, good effects as it were, at the end of the day, you realize that there are certain key things that you don't know or you lack as a driver.
Yeah.
You will miss them on the road.
Yeah.
And secondly, like Sir Rubin said, things have been made easier. I mean, it's buttress the first point that I just made. I mean, there were times we wanted to travel outside the country and study. Have that, physical, relationship, and have the opportunity to mingle with other people from other countries. Now you can study online. Things have been made easier, you understand. Aside that too, I believe it's information. It's information. If you don't have the information as to where you want to go, you may trivialize the fact that, I don't need this particular training, I don't need that particular training, I could just go ahead and then stop. It then brings back it brings me back to that point I made earlier. The things you do at your personal leadership stage are the same activities repeated when you progress. Adjustments are sometimes made to fit the level of responsibility you find yourself. Of course, we are in a new era. We may not have to go through that rigorous route to get to a particular point in time, but you cannot take away the foundation. That is something we cannot take out. So yes, I think that's the point.
And I think the foundation comes down again from the system back to our homes. The kind of parents that we are having now are also concerned about results.
Right.
Our parents are concerned about results and not concerned about the process.
Right.
I have been a lecturer, and it's interesting how a mother came to school and told us not to let her child learn this particular course because she wants her to go through the system as fast as possible to study something else, to just write her exam and then travel somewhere.
Right.
I was appalled by the lack of tone of the mother. By the lack of integrity of the mother. Because the person in question is a woman. She's going to raise the family as well. And you are teaching her to take shortcuts in life already. You come to the school, you just shut down the system, and it happened for her, trust you me. But you know something? I get texts every now and then, say, can you please help me with this? You see that? For such a person, I helped her 1-2 times and I stopped. Why? If I do not stop that, she's not going to learn and she'll spend the rest of her life depending on people. Because she ignored the process of what? Preparation.
Ruben, Chief said something in the book. He said, your preparatory period helps you build strength and experiences which you would not have developed on a regular day.
Yes, on the regular day.
You see, there are certain things you can only pick up during preparation stage and develop later.
Yeah.
And said, the experience you gather would go a long way to help you in the future.
Yeah.
I read that to say, in my office, I had to put up change all the administrative procedures to fit the way we wanted to run things, because things were being done anyhow. Now, where did I get this ability or this skill from? From the GES days. I didn't know anything about administration. I didn't know anything about drafting. I didn't know anything about public speaking. I didn't know nothing. I could only sing and write songs. But my 4 years experience with GES taught me how to write memos, write letters, drafts, whatever. And it's acknowledged I can change administrative policies of an entire organization.
Wow.
Just because of that training. And I find myself in the office with people who are not ready to learn, and I tell them, this is not the place you'll be forever. And the things you are ignoring now, you will meet them going forward.
They always come glaring at you in the future.
A particular example, lastly, is our graphic designer. He started as a marketer, going on marketing and everything. And then he has some knowledge of IT. So I was telling him, you know what? Learn how to design, learn coding, learn this, learn that. He thought I was joking. Today he's making money as side business from what I told him to learn. So if you don't subject yourself to training, there is a saying that an untrained man is a dangerous man. You still come back to square one. That is the consequence. You still come back to that uncertainty stage. You still come back to the knowledge. You still come back to trying to find your feet. And
preparation comes with mentorship in the process as well.
Right,
and
exactly.
A lot of people feel like they are too important to be mentored. A lot of people feel they are too good to be helped.
Right.
So in the process, you end up losing it all.
You've reached where you want to reach.
Sorry. I would like to end by giving the example of Queen Elizabeth II. During the Second World War, she is known to have trained to use a gun to shoot the rats that were in the palace. And that training was because she didn't want to be caught off guard or unprepared when the German fighters came attacking her. So she was a queen at the time, and she was a monarch. She was a leader in her own right. But during the training or during the period where she was preparing to learn how to fight and shoot the gun and all that, I believe she had to go through preparation. So you have to, as an individual, come to the realization that at every stage of your life, you have to prepare for something. And if you accept that, it helps you evolve at every instance of your life, because when preparation is the grounds for change, is the grounds for becoming something different. And if we embrace change, if we embrace evolution, if we embrace being different, if we embrace a new world, if we embrace doing things differently, being innovative, then you should also embrace preparation, because you can't achieve those successes without preparing for them.
We can't achieve success without preparing. Many things rise and fall on preparation. The more prepared you are, the lesser the risks you incur. This has been a very insightful discussion. Don't forget to leave in your comments. You can share in your questions, you can share in your thoughts as well. And don't also forget to purchase a book, a copy of the book Becoming a Great Leader, which is at the SU Bookshop in the SU Tower located around Ridge. Or you can contact the numbers displayed below for a copy. See you same time next week.